We could start and then just have when people show up. Better pitch that. 6:04, we'll call the Dalton Township Planning Commission work session meeting for April 23rd, 2024 to order. Roll call, and we have some folks on the way. Dave, I'm here. Jesse? Here. Todd's on the way. Lee is not here. John is not here. Casey?
Here.
And Kevin? Here. Approval of the agenda, I think it's pretty straightforward. Anyone would like to make a motion?
Motion to approve the agenda.
I'll support. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? They're up to public comment, so at 6:05, I'll open up the public comment. As we have no public. Unless Stephen would like to say anything? Okay. All right, I will close public comment at 6:05. Moving on to 5-year review of the 2018 master plan. You want to attack this? I didn't say attack. We want to go through this by chapter as designated in the work session agenda here.
Yeah, I think we could attack it by chapter and just
All right. So
see if there's anything glaring that you like, don't like, or you think is no longer relevant or still relevant. Chapter 1 is largely an introduction.
see Dalton Township today, that was 2018. So
Yes.
we're looking at where we were. You have a lot of data that look like you have pulled up for that and update that section.
Census data for the demographics and some of the economic and housing. Most of the physical characteristics haven't changed much. All the maps are still relevant.
Chapter 2, is there anything anyone wants to? Pretty straightforward. Are there any concerns with any of the corridors or anything that?
The major differences I saw, really the only major differences are in the housing and income. For the median household income was at 43.9, and now it's in the 70s. It's 75,449 as of 2022. And then the median home price jumped up to 170 versus being at 125 back in 2018. Population is slightly more than was projected, but again, it's only a couple hundred difference, so it's not, it doesn't make that projection completely irrelevant. It's just slightly faster pace of growth. Housing occupancy is about the same.
Whole map is like very limited on septic capability.
I was just looking at that.
That's weird.
Yeah,
That's worthless.
I don't.
Which, I mean, Williams works to this whole thing, so. I don't understand that, but
Well, I mean, capability is very limited, which. What's that based on?
I think it's based on the water table primarily. Whereas if you're gonna have a raised septic, I think they are very limited. Which those are the lower areas of the township. That's seems to be the rationale for the 5-acre minimum in the ag district.
Guess it just looks funny to say it's not suitable.
Well, in the key, it just says that very limited means that septics are not as cheap as they are in some areas. It doesn't say they're not possible. But it's, somewhere it said that about,
same thing goes for dwelling. Dwelling suitability basically says we shouldn't build
Anywhere.
anywhere.
no, stuff like that, say something about houses with basements.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can build, just, they recommend a crawl space in some areas or to raise your house up.
With the differences with the drains, that would be something may change.
Yeah, it just says the primary contributor to poor suitability of soil conditions is the high water table, which can be overcome, but often at an increased cost, so.
Groundwater is typically clean and safe for drinking. Good way to put that, I guess.
So you said, Stephen, that the population change was roughly about the same, it's pretty. A couple, a slight difference?
Yeah, so it was, right now it's 9,530. According to the 2022 estimate. And it projected not reach that population till about 2030 to 2035. But again, looking at each individual year, Dalton was on track, if not lower than that, until 2020. And 2020 were a couple years where it just shot up. So we're still in a, we don't know if that's a trend or if that was just an anomaly.
When was the whole drainage thing done that lowered the lake level supposedly that people were upset about?
The ride drain, I believe, was put in in the 80s.
The update to
The update,
and everything. People are saying, oh, the fish are
I think
dying.
it was 2021 or 2022, they put in the new outlet device. 20? Okay.
So has that,
'Cause I know they dug the channel between West Lake and
Oh,
that was later.
Yeah, that was later. I don't.
has that had any impact on water levels then anywhere? Or is that all staying the same?
I think cleaning the channel between West and Middle had the most impact. But the lake level outlet device has always had the same elevation prescribed.
I think our rainfall
That's-
amount and lack of
That's
snow
maximum.
has the
Yeah.
most, has had the most impact is the general consensus.
Yeah, because in 2019, if you look at those aerial imagery, that's the water was high, and that's about where the ordinary high water mark is. And then if you look at the Google Earth imagery, which was taken like 2 summers ago, the water is much lower.
So this
So it ebbs and flows for the maximum.
that's just like based on the average of
Yeah.
whatever it is normally?
Let's say it varies by a couple feet year to year.
The public utilities, there's no known expansion of any city and water, right?
Only the hop.
Just the house?
It's going up, I think it's going up in 120 to the hop, turning on Hilt and looping back down to River. And that's all state funded. Otherwise, the county doesn't plan any, they don't plan to pay for any expansions. But the public utilities map is good. They just have that one loop up to Hill, but that's not for planning purposes, it's not gonna be a major impact, let's see.
Really, we just got to update pretty much with what we just had discussions on. Pretty much that's what is going to go into the new one anyways. We really don't have a lot of differences or variances in there.
And we might not even actually have to put that in. Just to give you what the differences are they enough to go through the process? It doesn't affect our goals or
It's hard.
These, one thing I'll say about these guys, they had pretty good data for the state. As far as, having probably not as much. Saying
That
that
surprises me.
bachelor's or higher degrees for Michigan are 27.4%. That's pretty remarkable.
yeah, educational attainment did increase as well. But again, that's not something that is necessarily pressing to change.
Remembering it, when we did the public input. Figured we had 27 people out of 9,000. We didn't have a great penetration as far as people giving input, but the things that were listed in there as far as things they wanted to attain, some of them, goals and objectives of what they wanted to do moving forward. Some of that, I don't remember that being some of the things that we talked about, at least in the meeting when we had put down, but that must be more from what they came up with. I don't remember how they came up to, because they had, didn't they also had, they had a website or something that people could go in on, and I think that was, they got more information from that, because I don't remember a lot of that dialogue.
For any updated, median household income.
Yeah, so those numbers are all updated. That's now more about 75,000. I think it was
That's a
77.
huge jump.
Yeah, because it started jumping right after 2016. In the parks plan, there's a community description that talks about the population for the median household income, and it shows that increase over the years, last 10 years, between 2011 and 2021. It declined slightly from 2021, but it's still a significant jump. Might not be too important from a planning perspective in regards to our goals and objectives, but if we run into that issue where maybe it is relevant to the goals and objectives, then that can be updated as well. Good designing.
You were coming.
Have we seen,
Yeah,
how long has this one been out?
since the 2008.
Okay, I have.
Yeah, it's the one we have, it's more.
It's like it's been freshened up or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, we ran out of the nice copies, so I had to print them up.
Okay,
I like this one better, actually.
yeah, I do too.
I don't know if we have anything really to add to two. That was pretty easy, and really three is about where we were.
Two is just me to check over it, make sure it still represents Dalton fairly well.
And three was where we were when we did this, so now we're really looking at four, which is kind of where we want to take
4 and
the.
5 are more of the meat and potatoes of the plan. This will effectively be zoned and the ordinances are passed.
And we built an RC back in 2000. And at that time, it was a 2.5 acre lot. And now it says in here, single-family homes will be the primary use with density patterns of 1 unit from 5 to 10 acres. And we're at 5 acres, we're not, we don't anticipate needing to go anything larger. We have 10 acres, is a large tract of land that someone buys to
I
build
think
a house.
5 acres is fairly large.
Yeah, it's,
More of that. Even before that, it was 20,000 square feet for a minimum.
house next door just was built next to us, and that was what we paid for our lot. He has double the lot, but he paid 4 times, almost 5 times the cost of the property. That's what I was thinking, man, we're already doing the thing to have smaller homes. Put a little tiny home on 10 acres.
From the stretch.
Under goal 1 in the objectives, is there anything there that you see that you don't like, you like it?
What page are you on?
Page 49.
Thank you.
We just go through them one by one and say what we think of them, if it still reflects the reality of Dalton Township, or priorities have changed. In other words, it's still the plan we want to follow.
See something you didn't like down there?
Oh. Foster and maintain effective and cooperative working relationships with the Muskegon County Road Commission. That ship sailed a long time ago.
What was the breakdown there? I mean, aside from thing that kind of was.
Oh, I think it stemmed from private roads that were not getting the maintenance that the township was paying for or something, and yeah. They were paying an assessment. Jeff called them and they said, we'll do whatever we wanna do, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and so that's where the breakdown came from.
Oh.
Is there any, it says continued development of a township-wide non-motorized trail network. There isn't currently anything being even thought of to connect to the Fred Meyer Trail, like in any different
Not
directions.
this time.
Okay.
I mean, it would be one of those things that would be nice,
Yes,
but like if we could get a state grant. for it,
yeah,
But it's not something that's being
Okay.
actively pursued. And that would be more, it could be in this plan, but it'd be more of a parks and recreation
gotcha.
as well. It would be nice to have in the plan just so we can show that,
Yes.
from a land use and recreational perspective.
Is there any, not that it would have anything to do with this? Are we always gonna have rail going through here? It doesn't really even seem like it's used this.
Not sure, I know that goes up to Fremont. Not sure how often.
It
I've
hasn't,
heard there is a semi-regular train, but.
it hasn't been abandoned,
Yeah.
but
The river, it's always going across the river.
Yeah, so I know that's Nugent has a lot on the river.
yeah, that one's
Just north of
probably used, but the one that parallels 120 is practically abandoned.
Yeah.
I've seen, look at the rails, they're all rusty and They have been rusty, and I don't think it's maintained. We may see in our lifetime that get abandoned and become a rail trail, possibly.
I've had the same penny on that thing for years.
It's rusted to this rail.
If you can work anything out for me, let me know.
Yeah. Better off taking it over to south of river, it sounds like, taking it there.
This new chemical company over here may use the spur that BASF had put in there. That was relatively new. If you walk the trail, you could see it. But I don't know what their, logistics is called. SciTech.
So in goals about traffic and transportation, says the following objectives are specifically intended for M120. Is there nothing similar for Whitehall Road?
There is, so the same same access management overlay is put on Fulton and Whitehall.
Okay,
So there's
So-
nothing specifically in the plan about Whitehall. But it is addressed. I know Whitehall's the mixed use overlay, which
because it feels like M120 is actually more mixed than Whitehall Road. Whitehall Road is at least from the township line to the north quite a ways, is pretty much all commercial. Like M120 though, it's like house, business, house, business, house. It's like back and forth the whole distance.
And so that's another major tenet of this plan is having, for its commercial between just south of Cullen and McMillan, all the way to Michelinda is slated for non-commercial use. I know currently it's a patchwork of commercial and residential. And that is something that this plan was put together. They wanted to discourage like strip development where you're just building spread out commercial businesses. With more driveways slowing down traffic. So that was kind of the thought behind that. Like consolidating the businesses north of Michelinda and closer to town. So you had this stretch of rural highway that with heavy traffic didn't have as many driveways to complicate things.
Stephen, what were the objectives written?
So they were updated in 2018, but much of these objectives are actually the same as the objectives from the I think it was a 2001 plan. I went through and compared them, and a lot of them are the same. That's just Williams and Works did that plan as well. It's just there's updating what was done.
That's kind of where it all starts and ends, I think, as far as this whole document.
We need to incorporate anything in the plan for golf carts and gators and all that stuff, or is that something?
We could, we don't have to. That's a
I don't know
general,
if we need to.
yeah, that's a general ordinance. That's one of those things where if we wanted to have a plan that accounted for alternate modes of transportation like that, we could. But that's,
I think because we have,
still motorized transport,
yeah,
so,
the state highway,
yeah,
the
the
major
major,
regs probably supersede
yeah,
our,
because they can't drive down a major highway.
and even if they do on the sides, there's regs.
How thoroughly are we under planning and code enforcement, how thoroughly are we going after like number 2?
Two.
Review, evaluate, strength, and property maintenance standards, so like light,
Yeah.
light and junk
What
cars.
is actually
That's,
being done on any level? Is it something that we,
yeah, it's basically when we receive a complaint, they'll go out and investigate it and try to resolve the situation. He generally tries to resolve it without taking anyone to court. So that's
well, that's the last thing anybody
a lot of
wants.
money, and we don't wanna take people to court over a car that's been sitting there. And we don't recoup all of the court costs when we take someone to court, so the township has to put the bill for the rest. In regards to cleanups for court mandated cleanups, we did increase the budget. It used to be a $10,000 budget. We increased that to $20,000.
That's just an effort to help.
Just in an effort, just with rising costs and as of right now, we'll only go on a property and clean it up if we have a court order.
How do people usually respond when clay comes out? Is it very negative, or is it usually a?
Usually people are apologetic and they try to resolve it. I say, they didn't. I mean, garbage accumulates.
We ought to invite Clay to a meeting sometime.
Get it? Yeah.
It'd be interesting.
I guess if we
A lot of
start
times-
pushing harder, that budget's gonna have to go up, correct? And spend more,
Potentially,
we're gonna spend more money, clean up stuff that we're not gonna get money back,
taking more
correct? Yeah.
more stuff from the court.
You would hope to be more like an honor system, but, you know,
That's just, at some point, you
unfortunately.
kinda have to go, well, these ones over here are gonna do what they're gonna do, and the rest of us aren't. So it's better to just go and let them do what they're gonna do and not spend any money and effort and headache and.
And a lot of it, maybe a third to half of the cases are, light cases are tied to poverty. Whereas they're, don't have a full-time job, so they're scrapping. And that spills out into the yard and burning copper wires, so there's calls for that. So it's a lot of judgment calls with how do we deal with this certain situation. Yeah, a lot of people get a letter and they say, yep, we got a couple dumpsters coming. We just need a couple more weeks.
And you're allowed to elongate any period of time if it's reasonable.
Yeah.
If somebody says, it says 30 days, but they say it's gonna take me 60, we're okay with giving them the 60 days.
Yeah,
If it's within reason.
yeah, and that's because a lot of judges don't really care to have a light case before them.
Yeah.
So they make sure we have to give them 3 letters. Most judges won't rule in our favor unless we have at least 3 warnings. They're, working with them to solve the problem.
I was reading Jeff's thing again about the enforcement changes that he was looking to do through the zoning board. Those types of things. I know the first couple went a little long, pretty intense, and not necessarily, I think it worked out, but we haven't had one since. I mean, is anyone even opting for that? Is that even a thing that's?
So nobody's even asked me if they can appeal it. It's in all the letters that they have the option to appeal it to the zoning board of appeals if they don't feel it's a violation. I think most people know it's a violation.
Initially, that was a part of the process, right? It was
Yes.
so now it's just if they choose to.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I like better.
Yeah. And they technically always had that option. It's just never been stated expressly in a letter.
So I don't think we can go back. One, we're pretty good with the objectives for the goal one, that we didn't have anything for that one. Goal two, transportation, I think we're okay with that. Agriculture and open space. Only 4 points there, I don't think there's anything there, and we're up to code enforcement. Anything so far that anybody has that they feel needs to be addressed or changed or anything? Well, Parks and Rec now we have one of the, which one was I highlighted in this page here? We have the goal is to start that committee, that was one of the recommendations, and that's actually been done, so that's one of our. Number 4 on page 66 is reestablish the Parks and Recreation Committee. So we do have that to tie together to goal number 5. Is there anything that we need to, we don't need to change anything if they're gonna have, we have another board over that, why would we need to get involved in anything more than just the basics of that? I don't think we're.
So that, master plan, right?
Yeah, they have their own plan they're working on. And there's always gonna be some overlap. Parks and recreation are an important part of land use plan. But the general nitty gritty is going to be the advisory committee.
Will the Parks and Rec committee, will that actually then take on the Parks and Rec plan?
Yes.
Okay, so we don't even, that's, so now we split that, that's, okay, that's good, because that used to be under our purview.
Yeah, so it looks like the goals and the objectives in goal 5 is help support the park system.
We're gonna meet quarterly on the rec committee. I'm an alternate. I went to the first meeting. But we decided, that we're gonna have, a meeting every month for a while. I think, at least every other month, I think is how we ended it, but we are gonna have one next Monday night as well. Every spend.
Another one coming up.
What's that?
Next Monday, you said? I thought there was another one coming up here, so.
Yeah, 29. I think everybody's kind of feeling out, the whole script and charter and getting to know each other a little bit. We have a chairperson now.
Really, we don't need to do much with 5, that one looks pretty solid. Then we go on to number 6, economic development. I have 2 things on that.
I think we did a good job of reducing conflict on the property behind the BP. That was gonna be a wedding venue. We're doing good.
Anybody heard anything about that? I don't even know what's going on there.
So they will be building, but they'll need to come back next month for an extension.
Okay. I was wondering, I think they put a shed out there. So I don't think that was there before, but
Okay.
that was a while ago. It's been there for a bit, but then they haven't seen anything going on over there. It's not like they're gonna get after it. In like a year or something, hasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 6. Pretty good then, I think we're okay there. Number 7, utilities, infrastructure, and other public services.
Scratch number 3. Is that just water?
Okay. Yeah. Probably.
Yeah. Yeah, I know the big push is on water right now, but I think sewer is the, big priority. With PFAS, everyone likes water.
Any matter of time.
So 3 is something where we could just, I don't think we have to get rid of it, it's just keep evaluating what's available. That's not something we control, we just respond to um, the utilities that the county puts in.
That one's pretty easy then we go to environment and sustainability.
The thing that I think about here is fertilizers on people's lawns around the lakes. Again, that's an honor system sort of thing. But at the same time, we just got our notice in the mail. There's opportunity for them to spray like 4 times throughout the year, 5 actually. So, it's, I think it's sort of, one might have to cause for the other. It just seems like it's repetitive since I've lived here. They mail out all the chemicals, all the regulatory agencies that have approved it, and the calendar of spraying and so forth. And I'm not a scientist, but I wonder about the septic systems as much as or more than I do the lawn fertilizers. But when I read this thing, I kind of wish there was an easy way to communicate to the entire township of light, this and that, without being, mean spirited or heavy handed. Maybe the planning committee would do something quarterly, like a paragraph or so. These are some practical things that would make, improve the quality of X, Y, or Z. I'm kind of thinking out loud here, but the groundwater.
So you're saying like in terms of people fertilizing their lawns on the lakes?
Yeah, the
usage of
phosphate,
septic
and
systems.
the phosphorus, and
And the spraying the lake, that's just for the algae or the itch?
I should probably bring it in, that sheet. That's not my strong point, that chemistry, but yeah, not the biology of plants and so forth. But Twin Lake is pretty shallow, and there's some areas where it's a mess. I mean, the weeds. I mean, they're not coming up to the surface, but they're darn close. They're very thick, particularly the west side of Twin Lake. It's it's more shallow than I ever thought. You might be surprised. Anyway,
Or shaded?
I'm not sure that's anything to do with us, but general FYI, I'd be happy to bring in that spraying calendar. But they do it every year, it's
Fish die because the lake levels go down, not because of the chemicals. Right?
I'm not surprised.
I don't-
That could be, definitely. No ice on the lake and all kinds of aspects of.
That's just a rabbit hole,
Yeah.
kind of like global warming.
Sort of.
Anything anyone wants to remove or just leave 8? This. Yeah. I don't see anything that jumps out that doesn't apply or couldn't apply or. To future land use plan. I know it's already been discussed or decided, but we had the disagreement where they were trying to decide at the time when they were doing this in 18 was we didn't know which was the true map. Did that get fully resolved to where they've decided what is the true zoning map?
Yeah, so there was a zoning map that was adopted in 2019
Okay,
after completion of the plan.
and that was the one that we used to have up on the.
Yep, that was the one that was up
Okay.
there.
Are they ever gonna put that one back up for us?
It'd be nice. If they want to have it goes into.
It's always good to.
If you need some command strips, I could bring some.
Is there something going in on Federal Road where the like Hagar Road industrial area is that's getting?
Yes, we will have a plan to us soon, won't we? We're waiting on engineering.
Yeah, they're waiting on engineering. There's also a couple zoning hurdles as well,
Is that where they're taking up trees out?
out of the box.
What is going in there? Do
Right.
you know?
I was looking at doing just some different,
Oh,
like a multi-unit
okay.
type of thing.
Like a commercial lease based type of,
Yeah, something like that.
who's running that?
Not sure how much he wants me to
Mhm.
say, but
I just noticed all the clearing.
Yeah,
Something's
I
going on.
was noticed that too.
I don't think it's a secret, but I don't wanna go running
You
my
wanna
mouth
spoil
about it. Yeah. But it's still in the preliminary stages as well. He's just working through engineering and site design.
Now that I know it's a secret, I definitely
Well,
will.
I don't know if it's secret or not.
We'll see when it comes across our
Well,
desk.
it's on discretion and I'll
Right, yeah.
learn everything.
Most of the signs.
Anything on that, any of the future land use?
This is a current map, this is current map? Or just like, this was from, oh, this is just from that plan,
Yeah,
and
this
that's
is
what was adopted?
Yeah, this is essentially what you want the zoning map to look like eventually,
Okay, yeah,
or at least roughly like that.
okay, yeah. Yeah, this
They're
was
close, but
yeah,
they're a
this-
little different.
Yeah, it's something back then.
It's something that will take steps towards making it look like this, but we're not going to force this right away on the township.
Yeah.
We're just gonna guide change.
Yeah, 'cause if nobody wants to build an industrial area, you can't force that.
So if we have in the master plan that this area is slated for industrial, I might take a look at that and say, well, I wanna build a house right in the middle of there.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll hold off.
You know, in the village commercial, the last sentence, page 57, says, the township should require sidewalks to be installed with each redevelopment that occurs within that area. It's like about the downtown Twin Lake
Yeah.
area, like when the guy built, the tallest building in Spring Lake, I mean, Twin Lake, I mean, Is there sidewalks? I mean, is that a plan that we are supposed to be using as a goal, or is this just something that we're stating we should require, or?
Yeah, I think it's a should.
Okay.
This whole plan is more of a should.
Okay.
And of course, it lends some validity when we rezone. It's relatively consistent with the master plan, it has a better chance of standing up if challenged in court than if we were to just completely contradict the future land use map. The judge might say, well, that's not what you guys planned for.
I'd like to add that we definitely need another Mexican restaurant up that corner.
San Marcos is a little too far.
Food truck thing never panned out, did it?
That corner is gonna be a little difficult to build
Yeah,
up
that's-
now with all the setback
It's
requirements.
a nightmare.
Hairpin turn.
But a village commercial district could help with that.
Lemonade stand.
Just have to be sure to keep MDOT happy.
It's a dangerous intersection. People pass and Cook Road. What's that old acre strip? This one's.
And still houses on it, so this makes it kind of,
Oh, there are?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
it was Robinson, the guy's name. So, like, as far as updating any of the changes from 18 to now, like as far as commercial things like Nugent Sand, we include that in here. That wasn't part of our plan, but it's kind of the things that do we take in, do we have to, I guess, put accomplishments or things that have changed, or that's a long plan for what they're gonna do.
Yeah, I think down the road, it would be nice to have some sort of, um, sand mining recovery area that would allow for flexibility when addressing those areas. But right now, that might not be entirely necessary because it's still an active mine. All those are permitted uses consistent with resource conservation. So.
Like how it says amend the zoning map. As of writing this plan, there's a lack of clarity over which zoning map is the official township zoning map.
That's right in it.
That's the one I was wondering if we can take that out, so we've now addressed that.
Yeah, we figured it out now, we're good.
How's that for the goals?
Yeah, on 65 implementation.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently, we're supposed to figure out which one is the official zoning map.
Chapter 5, really actionable items.
Yeah, so these are the specific items that can be worked on.
At the time of this master plan, did the planning commission identify and rezone properties which were incompatible with future land use?
I believe they, I'm not sure, I know they did back in 2025 in that area.
20 what?
2025, I'm sorry,
I'm like, you're jumping at
2005,
You just lost a year of your life.
back in the mid 2000s.
Okay, so way back then is the last time they went through and rezoned.
Is there any concerns where anyone sees that would be something we need to look at? If we go from the map that we're trying to shoot for, the one that we currently have. I mean, if we open up that,
Yeah, if we were to do that, essentially, I think what they were getting at was rezoning everything south of Michelinda and north of McMillan along M120, rezoning that all resource conservation.
Oh.
If I had to guess, that's what they had in mind.
Mm-hmm. I don't think that would be well received with the population.
I think most of the lots, they're vacant,
Oh.
maybe, but the ones that are commercial should obviously stay commercial. I think that's might be roughly what they had in mind. As far as the goals go, a lot of these have actually been accomplished or worked on.
Right.
Ordinance revisions are always ongoing. As is code enforcement. But the advisory committee is back. The residential district was adopted. Education is ongoing.
Yeah, that one needs some help probably.
Which one?
I think the community education,
Yeah. Yeah, so some of these have been done and crossed off the list, but there's still a good number of these that can be continued to be worked on.
Community education talks about the reestablishment of the township newsletter. How long ago was that thing? I've never even heard of it.
Not sure.
Like 1960? What are we talking here?
was it mailed?
I've never got a township newsletter in the 25 years I've lived in this town.
It sounds like a good idea.
We did, on the last tax bills that went out, we did put information on the back,
Oh,
but not a lot of people saw it because it was on the back of the tax bill.
I thought the tax bill was only one page. Now I'm gonna go home and look.
What's on the, should have been on the back side.
So we're only looking at the oh shit side.
You guys are only seeing what you.
Yeah, I never flipped that over because previously it's always been just the front.
I know a lot of that was concerns over costs of, we have a printer do it, so added
Yes,
costs.
that makes sense.
So
Does
just
the
doing.
thing at the bottom turn over for information or
I
something?
don't believe so.
Oh. So it was a trick to see how many people were paying attention?
I think it was a trick to try and save money.
I think we have an O for board today. I don't think I saw it. I don't think when I flipped it over, I think I did look at the,
So
What?
It would be a good.
It goes back to that. We have
Yeah.
actually great people that probably see
Yeah, because that
I don't know,
64 cents for postage now.
half the state average.
Mm-hmm. I think it's going up too.
3,000-4,000 households.
Yeah, you couldn't mail it, that wouldn't be.
I did a
Well, what
couple.
about if people voluntarily signed up for an email list or something?
So there's an opportunity to get updates from Jeff
Oh,
on the website. So there's an email list.
okay.
That'd be a good place to start.
Well, okay, back to the tax bill thing. What happens when they rip off the bottom and they keep it? I don't get to read that anymore. Now I'm never gonna know what I missed.
Yeah, so that was a failed experiment.
Went up to 73 cents or something.
I heard that. They went up.
They just went up and then I saw another thing that they're going up again.
Yeah.
5 o'clock on a Saturday, they fill their meals.
Has there ever been a push to develop and adopt a sidewalk and pathway ordinance?
Not since I've been here.
Okay. It is sad how much of our township is not walkable at all. Unless you wanna risk your life.
Yeah. In most areas of the county, yes, I mean, it does make sense with the rural character.
Yeah.
But like Twin Lake and parts of the Whitehall corridor, like Whitehall and Tyler, by Beagle Field, are really the two areas
Yeah.
that could be, if you wanted to encourage it, those would be the two major target areas.
Beautiful stand.
I think a lot of that has to do with, I've been working on. But, a lot of that has to do with mixed uses as well. Having, residences right next to a store or restaurant where they just say, we're just gonna walk to the restaurant a quarter mile away instead of
Yeah.
getting in our cars. Not even 15 minutes.
Casey's right. They're like roads, very dangerous. I think our speed limit's 35, it's 50, I would say average, 45, 50.
And I can hit 65, 70
Not
at
bad.
the time going around.
I'll bet.
That's actually a huge hurdle is the speed.
Yeah.
Because if we do a road study, typically they raise the speed and lower speeds are safer for walking.
Mhm.
So if everybody's driving really fast,
Yeah,
it's easier just to get out, get into a car.
yeah, there's really no shoulders.
And the road commission is probably not gonna wanna lower the speed limit. Everybody wants to go fast.
It's just sad because you go to Ottawa County and there are literally bike paths every time you turn around. And there's people all over them, like you go to like Ferrysburg and stuff and there's bike paths in neighborhoods, like just all through every busy road, like it's sad, you want people to get outside, but then there's nowhere to go outside if you.
Dalton Township, right? Yeah, there's Mercury Drive.
Yeah.
Whole way,
Oh, yeah,
Lake is
yeah.
never huge, stop at 144th right there, but used to ride, down Lincoln.
Yeah.
Towards, go to school.
That is
sometimes.
too bad.
Yeah, right on the side of Lincoln at 144th in the morning, like sketchy. Then you get on the bike path from there, but.
Yeah, and then street design also plays a huge role in that as well. If you're designing streets to be shared with pedestrians and cars.
Mhm.
There's like Blue Lake Road, got the racing stripes down the middle and people just wanna go around those curves. But that's something that the road commission,
Why, on page 68, why is there even a thing in here about coordinating with Michigan's adventure owners? Like, that's not possible. Like, why do we even waste our time? A corporation in Ohio who's now like moving its location and merging, they don't care at all what we have to think or say or anything. So it seems like we just have it seems like a very pathetic goal. Like, oh, we want to be your friend, please listen to us. Like that's not even a thing that's ever gonna happen.
yeah, I think a lot of that is just in there.
Was it with the
I don't
sewer water
reach out.
thing, which is now kind of resolved?
Yeah, I don't reach out to
Coordinate.
coordinate and maintain relationships. I don't reach out and say, hey, Michigan Adventure, what are you doing? How can we help? Or this is what we're doing, what do you think?
So we should cancel our key to the city thing, is that what you're saying?
Well, and there, I mean,
But I think,
there again, I think it's probably, that paragraph's probably been in there since 2001, probably.
yeah,
What's
what
that
would be doing, how,
Yeah, I suppose.
I think it basically means help support Michigan Adventure. Like if they're doing something kind of make sure that.
They would stomp on Township Hall with their foot if they could. So for us to try to facilitate, like, they don't care.
No,
They
like, if
would
they
take
wanna put
us to
something
court
in-
in a second if we try to do anything against them at all. So it seems counterintuitive for us to try to establish this nice, like, oh, and they're not expanding. Like, they will never expand, not 1 acre more than what they are, so we
Basically, I
shouldn't
think it
wait for
means-
spin-off businesses.
To me, it means if Michigan Dimension wants to do something, just.
It won't be in Dalton Township.
Oh, they did their sign.
I know, but that's what
They
it gets, a
get
lot of their
Michigan Dimension
employment
wants to do
comes
something.
from our
Whoever
youth or
can
whatever,
help
it's
us.
true. It is a great
They're
opportunity
dependent
for,
upon the roads that certainly go through our township and do all that.
I just don't generally see a small rural township making it one of their goals to try to understand a large corporation.
No,
You're like wasting your time.
I think it basically just needs to be. a-
I'd rather put sidewalks in than deal with Michigan's Avenger.
on page 69, we have the action item, and then we have priority lists, and then we even have who responsible for those. And that was, I think we pretty much going off of what we already said, some of those are already taken care of. Zoning map, we've taken that one off. So I don't know if we have to amend any of those or the ones that are already done.
I don't think we need to take them off. Unless, unless we've gone through all of them and done them all and we're hurting for things to do.
Why don't we tackle each one at a monthly meeting or at every other month meeting? Go into detail. Or,
We could do that.
expand it or eliminate it or whatever.
I think things that would be beneficial is to focus on mixed use. Implementation of a mixed use area in the Whitehall corridor. I think that could be very beneficial.
What do you mean by mixed use?
So allowing for commercial and residential,
Okay, yeah,
even on the same parcel. So having, having someone with a commercial shop and then having a couple apartments above it. I think especially on Whitehall Road where there's
yeah,
public water and sewer, it would be perfect for that.
but a low rise now, because that's a very popular scheme in metropolitan areas nowadays. Apartments up,
Yeah,
commercial on the ground floor.
Yeah.
Condos,
Should be,
right? Yeah,
just a couple apartments above.
yeah, okay.
Or if somebody wants to do multifamily. You'd have an apartment complex next to.
Yeah.
Next to a contractor's office, next to a dentist's office. Next to a single family home. It'd just be, and I think it'd be a more organic way of building a community as well, whereas. People can come in and build what they think needs to be built, rather than us dictating. Well, you should build this type of thing here and this type of thing here.
Right.
They can just come in and say, well, this is a good spot for this, or this is a good spot for this, and then if it succeeds, great, we know it works. If it doesn't, we know it doesn't work and someone else can try. That's not an instantaneous thing, but over time, that area will be more.
Yeah.
It'll be better built.
You wanna add that to like the a meeting agenda?
Yeah. Add that to May for multi-use.
Review it. Put some ideas out there. All right, I think that brings us to the, pretty much the end, we're into the pretty much everything else, signing.
So overall, we think this plan is functional for the next
Yeah, I do. I think
for the future.
they did a very good job. You did.
I didn't do this.
See who signed that last page.
Yeah.
No.
All we have.
I brought two things, I thought this was the only one I needed.
It's been up easy. I remember when we worked on this thing. You remember working on this? Oh, God. For like nights till like 9 o'clock, like meeting after meeting after meeting. Like your eyes would roll back in the head and after, you would almost be pissed at the end going, okay, enough. It's just, we're done for tonight. Yep. And then we walk out and go, sorry about last week. Okay, it was my turn to blow up. Sorry. Yeah.
That's.
Alrighty, well, that takes us through our 5-year review. I think we're set there, and then we move on to item number 6, which if anyone would like to make a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
For it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Alright, at 7:15. Yeah.
The old one worked on it for though, 'cause it was.
Yeah, it was the hard thing.
2001.
Number one employer in